Hello, my name is Patricia. I am a first-generation Beatles fan, and this channel is called A Little Beatles Corner. Today I thought I would take a few moments and do a video on Cynthia Lennon. I kind of want to pay homage to her because not much is, actually talked about in relationship to her and the things she tried to do in her life. So that's kind of what I want to highlight today, and I hope you'll be interested, in hearing about her. Now, before I do continue, I have to do my shout outs and thank yous to everybody. And first and foremost is the subscribers that I do have, both new and a little bit older, and your thumbs up and your comments, and everything has been really appreciated, and that you're kind of like what I'm trying to do, and you're very important to me, and just keep the comments coming, that's all. And a special shout out individually to Rachel at Rachel's Ghost. I'm sure she's tired of me saying thank you all the time, but she continues to support me all the time and tries to steer people my way, and she has given me quite a few subscribers, I would say, and I can't thank her enough for that. So she is my long distance friend right now, I'd say. So thank you, Rachel, again. And the other shout out I want to do is to Tone at Tone's Beatles channel. I kind of consider him a long-term friend too, although I don't know what he thinks about it. But he did give me a nice shout out on me, Mr. Mayo's channel about a week ago or so. So I do thank Tone for his support. He's been very encouraging, and I can't thank him enough either. So, okay, that's thank yous for today. Thank you, everybody. Now I'm going to give you a few facts about Cynthia Lennon's life and what she tried to do, and then at the end of the video I will show you the few things that I have in my collection that are related to Cynthia Lennon. So she was born September 10th, 1939, so that made her 13 months older than John Lennon. She died April 1st, 2015 in Spain, where she was living. She died of lung cancer, and from what I read, it was kind of hard to find a lot of detailed information about this, but from what I did read in one article, she actually found out she had cancer that in January of that year, and she died 4 months later. So she really didn't have a lot of time after she found out that she, had cancer. She was a lifelong smoker, so I guess that was probably the cause of her, of her death. Now, she wasn't buried anywhere, but she was cremated, and part of her ashes went to Julian, and he planted them with trees in his yard, and allegedly some of her other ashes were scattered in the sea. So there's no graveside to visit, which is kind of sad in a way, but maybe Liverpool could do something for her, give her a little tiny space over there somewhere. I think, they probably, should, for all that she did for John and for, the Beatles story in general, and her continued commitment in Liverpool after, long after they divorced. So anyway, so that's that. And now, her marriage and divorce history is pretty interesting. So after she and John were divorced in 1968, she married Roberto Bassini in 1970, 2 years later, and that lasted 3 years to 1973. Now, if you remember that name, when John sent Cynthia and the group over to Greece for vacation while he started hanging out with Yoko at Kenwood, that's when she first met Roberto Bassini. So she did know him, before she got divorced, but according to her, she was never adulterous about it. So they lasted only 3 years, though, and then so the second marriage was a man by the name of John Twist, and that was 1976 to 1983, so that was about 7 years. And then the fourth and final marriage is to a man by the name of Noel Charles, and that was 2002 to 2013, and they stayed married until he died. So it was kind of interesting, though, between the time that she divorced John Twist in 1983 to 2002 when she got married for the last time. That was probably about an 18-year span where she didn't have any marriage and, any kind of relationship like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But she did stay married to him until he died in 2013. Now, throughout her life, you know, she was spent time doing Beatles-related things. So, for instance, in 2006, she did go to Las Vegas Cirque du Soleil show, and Yoko was there. 2009, she and Julian opened like a memorabilia exhibition at the Beatles Story Museum in Liverpool. And I do believe that that's probably the time where she gave her original artwork that she created to the Beatles story on permanent collection. So, you know, that's something to see if you go to the Beatles story to see. You know, I haven't seen that, so that's on my list, my bucket list this time to go ahead and do. And then the same year, she was also hanging out with Patty Harrison, and they did some kind of art opening in Armenia, of all places. So she had a relationship with Patty Boyd throughout her life. And 2010, she and Julian went back to Liverpool, and they're part of a tribute monument for John Lennon Peace Monument, which I don't know where that is, somewhere in Liverpool. So she did participate in that. In 2012, she went to New York City because Julian was having a huge photography exhibition there. And you can see this on YouTube because Julian, everybody was there for Julian. Sean and Yoko came. May Pang apparently was there. And so you can see a video of Cynthia hugging Yoko, for whatever that means, but she was pretty gracious apparently. So she did do that. And in December of 1980, she was actually staying with Maureen Starkey in London because they were still friends, and Ringo actually called Maureen. That was the night that John got murdered, and he told Maureen, and Cynthia at the same time was there, so they both found out about John's passing away. So it was kind of good that Cynthia was with Maureen when she found out that John died. So that was a little comforting, I thought. I understand she had some kind of fragrance, like a cologne or something, called Woman, although I couldn't find any more information about when that was and how long that lasted. She did two recordings. One was a song. In 1995, she recorded a Mary Hopkins song, Those Were the Days. And it was a CD, actually, which I don't have, unfortunately. And she didn't do a bad job singing on it, so she did have a little bit of a voice, I would say. And then in 2000, she did another recording, which was like a spoken recording over music. It was In My Life, which is really lovely. And you can find both of those on the internet, YouTube or whatever, and listen to both of those if you want to. So she did make two recordings in her life. Now, she also wrote two books. And the first book she wrote was in 1978, 2 years before John passed away, and that's called The Twist of Lennon. This is the paperback version. I don't know whether a hardback was ever made of this because I've never seen it. But I really like this book a lot. She tells her story, and she's only going to tell what she wants to tell, which is, pretty mild-mannered. But the reason I like this book is that those drawings that she had created that are in the Beatles Story Museum are now are in this book also. So I'll just show you one or two of them. And you can see what kind of a format, or however she did her art, was like cartoon kind of art or caricature kind of art. And they're based on little scenes that she remembers in her life. So, and they're all different. This is the one when she got married. So there's those in here, which I appreciate being able to see them all. And then the other thing I like about this book is there are like 3 or 4 poems spaced throughout the book. And here's one of them there. It's short. And it's kind of sad. It's not, these poems are not a tribute to anybody else, so I presume that she wrote these poems. So for the artwork and the poems, I really like this book a lot. So the second book she wrote was in 2005, which was the big book. the John book. And I did show you last time, if you watched my video on autographed Beatles-related books that I have, that, you know, this one I did get signed. So, and it tells the same kind of story that she did in the Twisted Lennon book. It's not much changed. Then after that, she came out with the audio version of the same John book. So I bought a used copy of this. And the reason I like this book is because she actually is the reader of the story. And Julian gives a audio forward in the beginning. And so to me, it's valuable because of that. Julian is very angry in terms of what he says in the foreword, as far as John not being a great father, which was expected, I suppose, for him to say. And then after that is Cynthia's smooth, you know, very gentle kind of telling of her story, which is really nice to listen to. So if you're interested in Cynthia at all, you might want to get this just to hear her telling the story in her own words. So, so those are the two books that she wrote. Now, she did collaborate a little bit with Ray Coleman in, I want to say, maybe 1983 or something around there. This is the first volume, called John Winston Lennon. And he does acknowledge her in this book because she did lend him like some personal effects, letters, and I think little drawings and stuff to contribute to the book. And there is a second volume, which I don't think she was involved in at all, because it's now John Ono Lennon. And this set was really the only big John Lennon biography things that we had at the time. So it was kind of a big deal at the time to get these books. Now, she went out with Ray Coleman to promote the book at some point. So I saw her then at a bookstore. And so I took some crappy pictures. So she's there with him. Now, remember, in the old days, we didn't have iPhones or whatever, so you got what you got. And so she and him are together, and I think they were signing like the paperback of the book that he put out. And this is the last one I have. I like this one because she's smiling. So those are little photos that I kept. Now, I'll show you the few things that I do have. Oh, the other thing I do want to say before I do that is that she did maintain a relationship with Julia Baird, John's half-sister, you know, for the rest of her life. And the last time she actually saw Julia was 2014, a year before she passed away. And there's a YouTube video that Julia talks kind of more extensively about her relationship with Cynthia. Apparently they were pretty close. And she did go to Aunt Mimi's funeral. I think that was around 1991. So she was still involved in family stuff, you know, Lennon family stuff. So that's kind of good to know. Now I'm going to show you a couple things that I have. This first one is a 45 picture sleeve of Julian's Too Late for Goodbyes. And I bought it signed by him like in the 80s, I think. And then when I saw her, I decided to ask her to sign it also, so I would have both of them together on one, you know, piece of memorabilia, so to say. You know what I mean. Okay. So that's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing for me. And then she put out 2 prints of those cartoony artwork that she used to do that you could buy, and she signed them. So I do have both of them. And this one is a little large. It's the, you know, Maharishi, India trip that the group went on. So, now she signed on the bottom Cynthia Lennon twist, so she did this at the time she was married. And that's in the center. Hope you can see that. And then the second one that she did, which I do have, is she did a depiction of the Beatles at the Cabin Club with fans. So that's this one. And you can see she also signed in the center on the bottom, Cynthia Lennon twist on this one. I hope you can see that well enough. So you can buy these prints still on occasion on eBay, I see, you know, and they go from like the $100 to the $200 range, I think, kind of depending on, you know, who's selling it and what the condition is. So if you're interested in Cynthia, you could keep an eye out on eBay for that, and I'm sure you could come up with one with not too much trouble. So anyway, that is my homage to Cynthia Lennon for today, and I hope you learned something about Cynthia Lennon. And I hope you enjoyed what I presented to you today. So I thank you very much for watching. And if you have anything that you want me to do, let me know. I will try. I have different kinds of things in my collection, but if I have something that relates, I'm happy to try to do something. And if you have any other comments or criticisms, just, you know, let me know, and I'll try to modify what I do. So thank you very much for watching, and of course, every day, Beatles forever.